Hello, this is a Toyota Avalon. This one is a 2008 model year, and today I'll be addressing the brakes. When I drive at low speeds, it's more noticeable at low speeds, like in a parking lot, gas station, and things like that. I've been hearing a scratching noise, so I know that it's about time to do something about the brakes. The vehicle itself has about 180,000 miles, and back before ABS modules was so smart, the rule of thumb was that for every 3 times you do something to the fronts, you'll do it, every third time you do something to the front, you'll be doing something to the rear, right? So if you replace your front pads every 20,000 miles, by the time you get to your 60, you'll be your rear ones will be due for replacement. But rule of thumbs aside, I like to just actually look at my parts and see how things are working, and I could see some grooves in the rotor. Not too bad, but I think the corrosion on the outer side, on the circumference of the rotor, made me decide that I need to address the rotors as well. So during the course of the video, I'll be calling out the parts that I have. What I buy everything. So I've got the pads, I've got slide pin, or rather guide pin or slide pin boot kit. I got rotors. What else? Different kinds of lube, brake lube, different tools, and I'll do my best to call out all the tools that I use. My aim for this video is to be real. I do not intend to do any editing, so it's allergy season, it's pretty cold. If I breathe kind of funny, if I breathe through my mouth, you're gonna hear it. If my stomach makes any noises, you'll hear it. At least that's what I intend to do. So again, I think people that watch my videos will know that you don't typically see Toyota action from me, but I like making these videos. I'm sure you'll find somebody else who has replaced brakes and maybe done it faster, different method. I like to show what I'm doing, and sometimes I also like to discuss why I'm doing what I'm doing. So hopefully this video will not be entirely useless, but if you stumble upon this video, that means you do need some kind of help. So one of the first things I do is loosen the lug nuts when the car is still on the ground. The weight is fully on the ground, and when I'm working with the rear wheels, well, depending on what it is you're trying to do, because I think I might be messing with the rotors as well, I do not engage the e-brake or the parking brake. So when I loosen it, you might see the vehicle rock a little bit, and that's okay. So use your lug wrench that you get from your trunk, or it's a 21 millimeter lug nut, so that's what I go for. And I like using the skip one pattern. When I loosen them, skip. It doesn't have to go all the way, just as I said, just loosen them. Alright, great. At this point, let's go ahead and fully raise the vehicle. Might keep adjusting my camera a little bit back and forth, but I'm doing my best to give you a real view of what's going on. So 21 millimeter, I used a breaker bar for this. It's a ratcheting swivel, adjustable breaker bar. And then I use my power tool. This one's not for torque for me, it's just for to save me from the repetitive motion. I have opinions about these lug nuts, I'll talk about it. I could feel These are the lug nuts that are usually, they have caps on them. So sometimes they end up feeling a little tight on whatever tool you're using to remove them. But then these are the mag style lug nuts. So these being factory ones, they do have a washer. I intend to replace these with aftermarket ones, so we'll get to that. So first thing, loosen, then raise your vehicle. Raise and secure your vehicle, then remove the wheels. Sometimes I need a kick or something. Yep, this one might. Oh wow, before doing that, do you hear this? Good opportunity. Yeah, this is why I'm addressing this. It's crazy. It sounds horrible when you're driving and you pick up speed. Gotta kick it. Okay. Actually, maybe go this way. There's more room over here. I think pretty soon I'll be getting a little closer. I need to show you exactly what I'm working. I need to show you guys exactly what I'm working on over here. How about this? Okay, I'll grab a flashlight to try to illuminate what's going on in here. All right, so that's that. That works. This is your rotor, and as I said, I've not engaged my e-brake, so it should spin freely. This is where the pad stopped. Is that a spider down there? Yep. Okay. This is your brake caliper. This one here is usually called your caliper bracket, and these are your pads right in here. So what happens is that this one here, well, it's not moving much, but usually this one has movement, and when you hit your brakes, the clamping force pulls this one, there's a piston in there, and which we can't really see right now. We'll come back to show it. It makes this one clamp down on this pad. There's a pad here and the pad on the other side. And then you have slide pins here. See this boot over here? Once I remove it, you'll be able to see it better. But then you're supposed to be, the caliper is supposed to be able to float. It's a floating caliper setup. So thankfully, Toyota made it so easy to do maintenance on this one. And all you need is 19mm tools. So let me do this. Oh, nice, it's holding. Okay, so this one right here, this is your brake caliper bolt. It's a 14mm. You have another one down here. And then you have another 14mm bolt, this one right here, that holds the caliper bracket onto the hub or onto the knuckle, whatever you want to call this. Some people just call it a hub, some call it a knuckle. It's not a steering knuckle. That's what you call the front one. So that's what I'm gonna do. Go ahead and first thing is remove it. Let's say this is gonna be a brake pad job. I'll show you what you do if all you're trying to address is a brake pad. So the light and the camera might need to swap places. Maybe. We'll see if it works. Maybe. Okay, so is this visible? Yeah, there you go. I think this is gonna work. So 14mm here, and let me actually tilt this camera much further that way. There you go. So this is the main thing, 14mm for the caliper. This one here is your bleeder valve. So when you open the system, when you need to add maybe replacing the caliper or something along those lines, you end up bleeding it from here. We're not going to deal with that today. First thing is deal with the brakes. So let me do this. Get your 14mm tools. Can I? Oh, that's not going to work very well. Neither does that. Let's try this. How's it? Too much? Man, lighting at night, like doing projects with artificial lighting, is usually pretty tricky. It's kind of hard to get it right. Alright, just get it for me. This is all I'm doing. So, get your 14mm tool, and what I'm using here is a ratcheting wrench. Can be kind of tough to break it loose. I'll make sure I'm going the correct direction. Yep. Look at that. It didn't really take much, so that's loose. I'm gonna let it be. Go to the bottom one. That's it. Someone might want to know what the torque values are. I honestly don't know in the Avalon, and pardon me, I'm not going to use torque values today. I'll just kind of go at it. I can usually feel I've worked them. I've worked these systems long enough that I can usually guesstimate the applied torque pretty well. Okay, so this is what I was trying to show earlier. This right here is your slide pin, and since I've removed the lower bolt, this one right here, which goes over just like this one here, I can swing the caliper out like that. Alright, now with the caliper swung all the way out, watch this. I want to push it back and forth, see if you can tell any difference. See that? So the slide pin or the guide pin is supposed to allow that motion. Alright, the sliding motion. Alright, so what I'm going to do, usually I'm going to get the camera just to show this. Alright, so having swung this up like that, usually you can just go ahead and remove your brake pads. Oh, there you go. Just need help and hold it at the right height, and we'll be able to make this work. Things look pretty funky when it's all rusty, but so this is one brake pad and the other one is on the other side. Usually you can just remove the brake pad, pull it out, but this one's been here for who knows how long, so pretty corroded, honestly. And I'll try this. These pads, which I believe are the original ones, have a feature down here. It's not the most convenient way to do it personally, but I just wanted to mention that if all you're doing is removing the brake pads, you can do it like this. However, this pin that I was testing up here, back and forth, usually, by the way, the brake line is what's helping it kind of hold itself. So there's another one down here, and what do you know, this one is pretty hard. It does move, it's just that it was a little notchy in its movement. So because most times I do my brake pads, I end up addressing my slide pins. What I usually do, my preference is to actually remove the whole thing from the hub setup or from the knuckle, and then I can clean it up, a little bit up again, and then deal with it on the outside. So that's what I'm going to do here. Remove this bolt. There's the other one right there. Okay, then pull it off. And thankfully, Toyota has made it in such a way that this thing pretty much holds itself over here. But you just want to pay attention. Some cars have heavier calipers. This one's light aluminum, but you don't want it dangling off the brake line in case it were to kink and get damaged, right? So for me, I just put it over there and it pretty much holds itself. So we'll come back to this, but I want you to pay attention to this part. This is a piston, and you can see the clearance here. This clearance it matches the distance from here to the other side. So let's put this away however you want, as long as it's there, it's fine. All right, then since I don't want to lose these bolts, I usually put them back on the guide pins. Then this one goes to the lower one. Actually, before doing that, I should remove this because I will be using a tool in there. There you go. So I don't know how well this one's gonna do, but let's try. See, this is what I was thinking, that the bolts were gonna be in my way as I did that, but apparently it makes no difference. So these ones are usually just a little harder. I'm going to need to get away from my ratcheting wrench, and instead I'm going to use a socket. So that breaker bar that you saw, my ratcheting breaker bar, and a 14mm socket. Make sure it's in the unlock position, because you don't want to end up shearing something here. Being gentle because I don't want to end up banging the camera. Then here's the other one. The other one is right at the bottom of this knuckle, right? Or at least it's so low at the bottom, very close to this knuckle. This is how much, there's no clearance really. And I'm sorry, you just have to look at it from that angle. Thankfully, usually once you've loosened that, it's pretty easy to keep going. As I said, I do the bottom first, just usually much easier for control purposes if you need to swing something back and forth. Alright, then I do the top. Okay, and one thing I forgot to mention is this. Usually when you do your inspection, since your piston, your calipers are like this, see this window right here? This window on your caliper? That's what you use to inspect, and you can usually tell. It just gives you basically a window to see how thick your pads are. And with this one, I mean, look at this width over here. I think they usually tell you what the minimum thickness should be, but as you can tell, this one's a goner. So let me set these bolts over here and just pull this out. Can you see where the bolt? So the bolt goes through here, but then it threads in here into this bracket. All right. Okay. So here you go. Here are the pads, and we'll examine them from outside the car, but these are well worn. Okay, here you go. These are the pads. Were we down to very close? We're down to bare metal in certain places. All right. So, as I said, when you look at the factory, which I assume are the factory pads, down here you have this feature. The top does not have anything holding it down. And that, if I remember correctly, so usually the wear pad, this one is not protruding more than the pad itself, so I'm not, than the wear material, so I'm not certain. And it's taking a lot of effort to turn. So how do I remove them, whether on there or here? Just if you can get a grip on the other side, which is why I like working on these off the car. Turn it, and then I can just pull it out. It incorporates. Okay, there you go. So again, top, bottom. You can tell the difference. All right, and it seems like in different cars, these are usually wear pads, but since this one does not protrude out this far, I will not call this a wear clip or a wear indicator. Wear indicator is actually the name I'm looking for. And what these do is that when your pads, it's so worn you can't even tell it's a pad. When this wears, this one ends up scratching the rotor, and it gives you that audible noise that, hey, yeah, it's time to do something. So I'll set this off to the side, and this is the other one. Good thing is that it seems like they were wearing pretty evenly. So that's I guess that's something to be joyful about. And then you can see the piston engaged on this side. I'm working with one hand, that's why I'm doing this. But usually you don't need a hammer for this part. Did it like jump over to the other side? There you go. Okay, so these are the pads. Okay, so I usually buy Duralast Gold pads because when you buy these, usually, well, one thing is that they're decent pads, really good pads, and I mean, it's not a performance vehicle, so I'm not going all crazy, but did you notice these metal brackets over here? Yeah, when you buy these pads, and here's a part number that I use, DG1212. These are the rear Duralast Gold pads for the 2008 Avalon. They come with those clips right here, but you have to be careful because you actually get two sets of clips, and I've already separated this. It's not like I got half the stuff, but when you buy them, you get the brackets over there, and then you get pads, and you get plenty of pads, enough for both sides. Usually when you buy brakes, they have it in such a way that you can maintain a whole, or at least address a whole axle. So 2 pads on this side, 2 pads on the other side. You should get 4. You notice that this one here, if I wanted to, I would install the noisemakers, the wear indicators, but honestly these are so, it's like I think these are pretty useless because these are right there at the very end. Oh, wait a minute, actually looking at this one, I can tell that this one has been doing its work. No, I was just curious about this line. It seems to be well matched with this wear indicator. And maybe that's exactly what happened. The wear indicator has been worn off, which would be pretty horrible. I mean, supposed to address it as soon as you start hearing something. Address it. And the guy that sold me the car was like, "Yeah, you know, it's crazy. I've never heard anything." I knew I was going to address the brakes, but it was just funny when he said that. So it seems like that's the one that came from the inside, right? Yeah, I can feel it. can feel it with my nail through the glove. So we'll take this rotor off, and this is why I like buying everything all at once, just in case you run into a problem where you need to take everything out. So there are a few things that will be discussed over here, but I think first thing I should do is just set the camera and maybe try to explain if it will allow me. Can you see that? I'll try to bring this down so it's actually visible. Alright, so one thing is that you should be able to see from the new pads that I have that these are way thicker than, how's that? Better? Okay, we'll try it this way. So the new pads are going to be a lot thicker. I think that's much better. So the new pads are much thicker than what came out. Like if you just put them together, that's how much of a difference you get, right? So what happens is that this piston, or at least this gap over here, needs to be wide enough to allow this, which is this right here, which is much thicker. Not only this, you're gonna get a new rotor, and the new rotor is gonna be just a little wider as well. So just a little thicker as well. So what you do here is, I have this tool. It's a brake part spreader, but because of how small or how worn the parts are, or how worn the brake pads were, I can't even get this in here because the caliper the piston has pushed out so far. Let me zoom in. The piston has pushed out just so far that I can't even do that. So for that, I just use a C-clamp, right? And thankfully, the way this one is designed, it's a cup, right? The piston is a cup. Some of them are not, and maybe you need a way to engage. So what people usually do is use your old brake pad, put it on there, and then get your clamp and just push. Personally, because it's a cup, I just go right in there this way. Well, I guess I need to open it a little more. Okay, good enough for me. How am I going to do this and show you? There you go, that's better. I go in there and feed this in the cup, and then on the top, I just go for the banjo bolt, that's a topic for another day. And then just squeeze. Maybe if you watch this video sped up, you'll be able to see the piston go in, but it is going in, right? Which is really nice. It's fortunate nothing's frozen, nothing's seized. That's the kind of stuff that really ruins your day. That changes a 20-minute job into, or, well, it's not going to be 20, it's going to be more than that. Makes it like a whole hour affair. You having to go look for parts if you can even find them. Sometimes AutoZone doesn't carry the parts, and then if they do, I mean, are they going to be the aluminum ones? So, okay, there you go. As you can see, it's opened as wide as will allow. And if I needed, I guess I could use this tool, but maybe not the best tool. It's a good tool, but maybe not the best one for the Toyota Avalon rear caliper. All right, so that's great. And what I like to do right about now is just clean it up a little bit. So I've got some kitchen use brushes that usually come here. Protect yourself. That's brake dust, not very good. And all this time, make sure you're not kinking your brake hose too badly, right? So there it is. This one's pretty much ready to go. That's as much cleaning as I do. Some people do more, but since you have rubber, I don't go too crazy. And then as you can see here, this seal is trying to jump over the lip is trying to jump over the cup, but it's fine. When I put it back, it'll be good. I guess There you go. This one is designed well enough that I can just rest it here. Toyota, this is, I haven't dealt with any of the newer ones, and it's been a really long time since I did any maintenance on a Toyota vehicle, but gotta give them props for how well thought out a lot of things are. And in my field, working in industry, there's something we call the Toyota way. It's just so applicable in so many aspects of manufacturing and things like that. So well thought out. So now the next thing is going to be this. The rotor needs to come out. This one's always fun. I'll tell you, if you've committed to, you know what, before doing the rotor, let's do this. Let me do some cleaning, because the rotor's gonna, I think it might give me some, give me a run for my money. Just setting up the camera better. Okay, so when it comes to these parts, talked about this one here. This one needs to be addressed, right? It needs to be cleaned up. So what I do is, since I'm going to replace it, just go ahead and pull these out. I don't want to bother with, first, I already know this, but you should make sure that it looks at least similar. And then it might look weird, but you actually want this on the outside, right? The hook part of it goes on the outside, not on the inside. The inside is where you have the flat surfaces butting against, here you go, butting against the body of the bracket. So that's it. I think I'm gonna need probably need my flathead screwdriver and just pry it down. Okay, toss that in the trash. Same thing at the bottom. Okay, there it is. So what I'm gonna do is one or two things. Clean this, and I have some an old piece of sandpaper that I use for things like this. But then again, not everybody has everything that I'm talking about handy. So what I usually use often is go into your box. See, the wrap or the paper, it's really rough paper that usually houses the brake pads. Sometimes I use that because it's pretty rough, it's pretty coarse. So sometimes I just use that as my makeshift sandpaper. And as I said, we're not trying to machine anything, we're not doing anything to precision work here. It's just knocking off any dirt, dust that you have there. If you do have corrosion, maybe you'll need, some type of sandpaper, but as I said, and you can see it's dusting a little more. So yeah, guess that makes a point that sandpaper is better, but that coarse paper is better than nothing. That's all I'm saying. And that's it. Just scuff it up and get any dirt out. And now this is something you need to pay attention to. So this one right here, does it say right or left? It does not. However, I guess they just expect you to pay attention to it when removing it. So you have to pay attention and remember what side is up, right? I actually got that wrong already, because this side is up. And sometimes I mark it. Usually I'll just remember that when I'm reading it, this is going to be right side up. And thankfully, again, Toyota, it's not like they make it look similar on both sides, right? So the R3801 and then this one here, it can only be read upright, right? Makes sense? So when you install it and it goes over there, there's a lower one, right? Lower guide pin and the top guide pin. This is going to become important. Let me explain this in a second. All right, so I've shown the first thing, which was the brake pad. The kit I buy from AutoZone, the part number is DG1212. So these guys right here, these boots, still functional, but I don't know these 180,000 miles old. Are they 12 years old, 13, you know? But I'm not really certain. So what I do is, just to be safe, I go ahead and buy a kit, a boot kit. And if you bought from AutoZone, the number is going to be 16175. Hope you can see that. So you get two sets. As I said, I've already separated my stuff. You get two sets. You can see one accordion over here. Here's the other accordion. But then there's a little guy over there, a little guy at the bottom, right? So this one's gonna be pretty important. Pay attention. When I pull these pins out, see what happens. Okay, top, this one right here. This is how far it can stretch. So you could try to pull it all together, but I see things ripping. So what I usually do on the way out for the old parts is just grab the bolt part by itself and hold that accordion down. See that? Okay, pull this out. Nice. See this? It's just a metal rod. And then what I'm gonna do is take this out, squeeze, and out it goes. In case you need to remember what side goes where, just think about the one with two features goes into. It's got a lip. It's got a pretty distinct lip, and that's the one that goes into your caliper. I'm not going to toss this one yet, so I'll put it in the box over here. Okay, at the bottom, I have paper towels for this. I'm getting to that point of the job where paper towels are pretty important, so I'll set this one here. At the bottom, do the same thing. Hold down the accordion. Well, pull it, hold down the accordion while pulling. There's a little more suction. Okay, so now pay attention to this part. This is the bottom one, right? Okay, when you install it, this is going to be at the bottom because you can read the words upright, both the top and bottom. Pull this. A little catch. Alright, do you notice anything different about this? Let me hold the other one up. Yeah, there is something. There is a little bit of a difference. I'm going to clean them up. I'll just wipe them down for now. I'm gonna see how this grease doesn't look. There's a mixing of grease over here, mixing of lubricant. Not usually the best thing. So I'm gonna relube them. Thankfully, no corrosion. Again, great design by Toyota. So right here, the lower pin in most calipers usually has that rubber collar over there. So let's force it out. Yeah, didn't really give me much of a fight, so that's good. And there you have it. Alright, so let me wipe this down. I need to clean these and have them sitting again, you know, staying ready for me. Let me get my brake clean. Brake clean, buy whatever brand makes you happy. I buy whatever AutoZone has on sale, really. And what I'm going to do, open this, and usually they have a tube to help you spray better. I did have another one that was already open, but I suppose decided to go missing. Oh, this is odd. They gave me... Okay, that was really tight, which is good, I guess. It's not going to jump out. Okay, clean this. And again, this might be one of those things you want to use a sandpaper at the very end because there's a little bit of corrosion just due to exposure. And I'm cleaning these using dirty gloves, so pardon me. Okay, so that's good enough. I'm gonna wipe these and let them sit, waiting for me. As I said, paper towels. I end up using a lot of paper towels right around now. I like gloves because, well, I guess it hasn't eaten it yet, but brake cleaning, usually you can see it melt the glove or chemically eat the glove. So imagine what it's doing to your hands. That's why I like to use gloves whenever I can. Okay, so these are clean. So I'll set them off to the side, let whatever residue is on them clear up. And this one is cleans and dries fast. Yeah, I was trying to talk about things that just hang around when you clean up. Alright, so here's one. Second thing I would like to do is, see this? The brake caliper. I would love to clean that as well. So there was, I need to remove the second boot just by squeezing. There you go. Ugh, that's a little bit of gunk. Okay, so just spray in here. Stuff jumping out. Yeah, that's old lubricant right there. And then sometimes just soak some in there. It's already all browned out. Yeah, one side is browner than the other. This one right here. This is the lower side, yeah. So that's gonna need a little more intervention. As I said, it's not the worst. Right now, this is why I choose to just go ahead and remove this. Try not to replace the pads while there. It's not the most anal thing, but it is a little more than most will do. It's definitely more than your quick change shop is gonna want to do, although they might charge you for it. Yeah, my brake job is gonna take way longer than your average one, so I'm not doing this commercially. I'm doing this for stuff that families driving, so gotta take care of your people. And here, do it again. Trying to make sure it's facing away from me so it doesn't spray back at me, but at the same time show it in video. Yeah. As much as I'm fussy about the top and the bottom here, I know that if I were, so right now this is how you install it, right? But if I were to go on the other side, all I gotta do is turn it this way. But now, what I can't answer is this. Are the holes machined the same? I don't have an answer to that. But we could test. Like this. Which one's longer? This one is just slightly longer. So let's try to bottom out. Okay, the top. So this is what happens when you push this to the bottom one where it's supposed to be. It goes all the way to the all the way to the neck. How about here? Yeah, same, no difference. But I've dealt with different ones that do. You could kind of the difference in the top hole and the bottom hole was more evident. The systems that were a little fussier on what's on the left side and what's on the right side. But for most, I think for the most part, most manufacturing just makes it easy for everybody involved. Alright, so the reason I wanted to do this right now is because I wanted to dry off. If it were not to dry off though, if I did it last and didn't catch it, I'll just use compressed air to do it. So I'll put it away because my preference is not to blow things around, especially when you have dust like brake dust. So set that off to the side. And now, while this one and the pins dry up, I'll go for the rotor. The rotor is usually an interesting one, and that is the main reason I have hammers and stuff and mallets. So there's that, and that to soften the blows. So with this one, and this is why I said I just leave the e-brake loose, because I want to be able to turn it around as I bang on it. Sometimes I could bang and just watch it move by itself. Remember, take care of this one. Boom, there you go. It's dusting down there. I guess another tool, have your broom or brush and dustpan ready. This one's usually a fun one to do. Again, you only do this if you know you're not reusing your rotor. You don't do this just to check. Personally, I mean, for the effort, yeah, not even. As I said, this is real, this is live, this is real time. If I smash my finger, you guys will see it. Well, that happens. Yeah, I'm gonna stop before I smash something. Get something else. No movement yet. The corrosion is crazy over here. You know what? One thing I would like to do, I don't know how. Yeah, this one is just stuck onto the hub. The hub is where, now that's actually what you call the hub, or the bearing carrier, is what these are usually the studs hang on to. So, and this part is, you have holes here. Let's try to zoom in over there. So you have holes, this one here, and this one here, it's a threaded hole. Usually you could, and maybe you should, if it was well prepared, I would have done this, send some threads in, a bolt in there, and as you tighten the bolt, it's supposed to break the rotor off from the hub. It's on me. Generally don't use that method. I'm more over bang it because it's definitely a little corroded. So that's my preferred method. But what is the size thread for that? Let me see. Is it? No, it's not going to be that, but at least that big. This is the one that came from the slide pins. So let me take like 2-3 minutes to try and find a compatible fastener that I can send in there. Maybe that method would work, but usually, as I said, this is my method. Well, sucks because I'm right-handed. not quite there yet. So let's try. Let me take the 3 minutes asked for and do this. I'm thinking if I can't find it here, then I can't find it anywhere in this garage. Is this it? Nope. Safe. A little while back I went through a session where I was throwing a bunch of stuff away. Fasteners that I never used. And I think I saved only what I thought was special. Now, how do you define special? Let's see. That might be it. Not certain. So let's. Is this going to be a 12 head? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it works. Quit the banging. The banging just, as I said, it's just crude method that I use, being that I'm used to Nissans and stuff, but this method just works better. Look at that, just like it's meant to work. Oh, kinda. So it's already loose, what's happening? Oh, I know what's happening. Let me try to attempt to explain this. See the fact that this is loose at the bottom, loose over there, but not over there? It's because, and if I push it back in, it moves a little more freely. Yeah. The reason is the e-brake, the brake shoes, this one right here, this hat, it usually houses, could you see the angle, see how far it sticks out? Because you have brake shoes. The brake shoes are cable operated. So what I'm going to need to do is this. Remove this plug over here. I need to get the thread size here so I can actually share that number with you guys. Metric gauge. The thread size is, nope, not 8x1 apparently. Yeah, not fine, I should have seen that. 8x1.25. So that is the thread pitch of whatever bolts you need to send down there. So hopefully you're watching this video way ahead of doing the job so you can at least know what tools to get. So 8.125, 8 millimeter, 1.25, that's what you need to send in there, okay? Let me put this fastener away before I trip on something. Again, today's goal is simple. Do not edit the video at all. reduce the number of things on the floor, things to trip on. Need a sip of something. Gotta stay hydrated even when it's cold outside. Okay, so here's the tricky part of what I'm trying to do. So get in here, remove this plug. They have like a gap in there, but honestly what usually works for me is squeeze it from the side. Works every day except the day you're trying to show somebody. Almost got it. There you go. This is a plug. So pull that out. See this hole here? It's pretty important. Let's put this somewhere we won't forget. Don't want to misplace that. What I'm about to do right now is adjust the brake shoes. So you have a hydraulic cable over there, and not hydraulic, sorry, it's a cable, mechanical cable. When you push the brake, it engages it. Basically pushes the shoes out this way, and when you push the shoes out, the shoes grab onto the rotor hat, right? And so when you release your e-brake, the shoes come back this way. The challenge is this: because of how much wear, how old the rotor is, and how long they've been, you know, wearing into each other, grooving into each other, those shoes have eaten a groove on the inside. And usually your parking brake is actually self-adjusting. I think they say every time, well, you back up, it usually self-adjusts, and we'll test that in the end. You'll see when I'm installing things. Thing is, as you eat a groove in here, it keeps adjusting. And so right now, their relaxed position is, you know, let me just do this. Let me just release it. If I can find, I need a light for this part. Usually you just have this at bottom 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and yeah, you can barely see, and there's really no need in me trying to do this, so I'll just go for it myself. And once I've removed it, you'll be able to see what I'm working on. Okay, so it's trial and error, but I'm trying to remember this. It's a wheel. What I'm looking at is a wheel, and that's why I'm using this. So with a wheel, you can either click it up so that it keeps turning upwards, or you can click it down so it keeps turning this way, right? If that makes sense. So you can make it go this way, or you can turn it down this way. So I think they're usually opposite. Let me see. Up tightens, down loosens. Let's try it. Sometimes what's on the left side is opposite of the right side, but I'm not certain here, so just trial and error really. I'm going down. Till I get to the end. See, it's getting looser, I think. Let me not jinx it. Did you hear the sound? It sounded a little different. Yeah, because it's done. It's gotten to the end. There you go. Came out easier, right? So, this is what I was trying to explain. So, down loosens, up tightens, or, you know, basically spreads. Can you see these? I need to bring this a little closer for this show right here. So these right here are your brake shoes, and sometimes I would replace them, but not today. Yes, they're thin, but they're not worn unevenly. One of the triggers that makes me replace them is that if this part is so sharpened down that there's no step, or either side, right? So it's got the same thing, top and bottom. And where's the light? There you go, and it's got the same thing on the other side. So what I was working on was this. If you look inside here, when you angle this correctly, see a wheel over there? Can I point it from the, yeah, there you go. This little wheel, that one right there, that is what I was working on. And let me play with it again and see what happens to the brake shoes. Okay, so let's do this. Yeah, there you go. Just try to watch this brake shoe. As I said, up will make it go wider, make it tighter, and down will make it get softer. So I bottomed it out. Let me flip it up this time. I can actually do it by hand if I can reach it. Pushing in is like I'm pushing the top of a coin, so I'm pushing it this way. All right, pushing it this way, so it's going up. All right, the motion that I see from my end, and since it's moved a little bit, I can kind of do it by hand now. I don't know if this experiment is working the way I intended, but what I'm trying to do, since it's pivoting over here, it's actually expanding at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is this. Let me just put it all the way back. But after installation, on the way back in, I will tighten it and you'll be able to see what happens. Oh, as I said, it's one of those things, maybe if you sped up the video, you'll be able to see what's going on. So usually, or sometimes, I go ahead and replace it, but today I'm not going to do it because the brake shoes are just fine. And two, I don't know how often you end up using your brake pads. Excuse me, sorry. You end up using your emergency brake. Most people don't even use them, just park. So I am not going to cause myself a headache over that. I'll just leave it alone. However, what I'll do is this. Been doing a lot of brake jobs lately. I'm gonna spray it in an attempt to clean it. Not too crazy, just, you know. And then here, I should have sanded it first. But thankfully, brake clean evaporates pretty quickly. So let me actually just let it dry for a while. Ah, there you go. Okay, so sand it real quick. And I can't find the sandpaper. Oh, here it is. Just knock down whatever corrosion you can see. And this spot right here, as well as, what's the other one? Here, and here are the parts that I was pushing the bolt through the rotor to go ahead and remove it. So as I said, I think it's important for you to have that 8 by 1.25 threaded bolt ready. That will make your life much easier. No hammering like I was doing, hammering like a caveman. So, okay. Quite a good amount of dust being knocked down. I'm not trying to sanitize the place, so I'll just let it be. Did I already? Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought I did. I feel like I already brushed it, this one up here, when I was talking about kitchen duty. So now let me get the replacement rotor. And here's the replacement rotor. Again, Duralast Gold as well. And it's gonna be 44581 DG. That's the one I get. I get the high curb information, blah blah blah. I get gold because of, again, here you get the free, you get a longer warranty. I think these have like a 3-year warranty for the gold. As I said, the pads are kind of lifetime and they come with the clips, so that's the advantage that I gained from them. But the pad for the rotors, the longer warranty. But people could, you could ask yourself, does it really matter? Are you ever going to tap into that warranty, being that the rear rotors don't get replaced that often? Maybe not, but for a nominal fee, I'd rather get the good stuff on. All right, so look at this. See how smooth the backside of this rotor is? All the way. There's a lip, but this is going in. Let's see if we can get a light a little closer here. Okay, so there is a lip, but that's going in. Otherwise, it is pretty smooth. Compare that with this one here. There's so much corrosion I need to knock down. All right. So if you see, this one here has two steps. It's got one over here, then further in. Let me get a tool that can do that better. So you get a step here. It's very light, but it's there versus another one in there. So what was happening on the way out as I was trying to remove it, these shoes had worn this groove over here, and then the problem is that, see this other lip, very outer part with some corrosion. So the shoe was inside a groove, so that's why I needed to kind of clamp them back down, or rather collapse them, so that I would be able to slow it down. Otherwise, since they were expanded, yes, I could turn the rotor, but the shoes had eaten into the rotor that I could not just pull the rotor out. Okay, makes sense. So let's put this one away, and now it's time to install this one. It does come with the threaded holes, thankfully, and it also comes with this little hole. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this. And the original one had, okay, lug nut holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one here. And then you get the threaded ones, right? And let that be. What I want you to actually pay attention to is when you come here. See these holes? Yeah, it's something you need to pay attention to, because I'm trying to catch this. This is how you reset your stuff. So you could see that I needed to find my way to gain access in there, right? And that is something I would recommend that you pay attention to for sure, that on your way in, make sure that this hole, this access hole for the brake shoe adjuster is in line with one of these holes, so that you can at least go in there, right? And I think it's gonna kind of automatically make itself because of this distance here. I guess it's either right or left. If you try to do it this way, you'll notice this hole is much closer here. These other ones are like more centrally placed, so it's I don't want to say foolproof, but there's always someone that's going to try to beat the system. But as you can see here, it can't even go in, right? However, if you pull it out and turn this one the other way, again, this is just based on this being close to this lug hole. If I do this, bam, goes all the way in. All right, so I know I'm getting the rotor kind of dusty, but as I said, I'm more particular on the method, not so much on. I'm more particular on the principle of it, not so much the method. What I care about with these is that one, I'm hoping it doesn't corrode badly and it doesn't get stuck on there like the other one was. So for that reason, I usually use anti-seize. Hope I didn't moon anybody. Okay, so just a little. I'm not trying to use it as a lubricant in this case. I'm not trying to grease the crap out of it. What I do is, you could do it here, you could do it there. All I aim for is the corroded parts kind of give you a hint as to what is going to get stuck. So that's what I do. Just a little bit. And it might work, might not, probably not. You obviously don't have to do this step. As I said, how often do you actually come back and remove your wheel, your rotor? It's something I do. And as I said, I'm very adamant that I do not want to do any editing, so I'll do whatever my process is, and at best I'll just explain why I do it. Paper towels. I think the process could go much faster than what I'm doing. It's just that I'm doing it with instruction, so obviously it's going to take a little longer, maybe 1.5 hours each side. I'm, not 100% certain. Just it is what it is. Okay, so some people usually go to the extra step of cleaning and trying to use not only brake clean but other parts on the rotors. Personally, I don't fuss about that. The brake pads will do the job. Okay, there you go. And so while here, what I usually like to do is this. It's all the way loose, remember? You don't want, so right now, let me go and gauge the e-brake and you'll see what happens. Just all brand new. Okay, I engage the e-brake right now with this thing all the way loose, and let's see if it holds. It does, at least against my hand. All right. The truth comes when you're trying to engage against the ground or whatever. So that worked. Sometimes they don't. Especially if you think about that, I've got kind of worn brake shoes, but as I said, these are not the lowest they can be. I've seen them way lower, and when you buy them brand new, sometimes you're so disappointed because they're only that much thicker, not even double the thickness you were seeing there. This is because these brake shoes in these applications are not supposed to be your standard brakes, right? If you did not have calipers and you had brake shoes in the back, that would be different. They'll be thicker and all that. So I've released it. So you've seen that moving forward, you can kind of hear it, right? Now you can hear something happening because now it's rubbing against something. So watch this. Going backwards, I mentioned earlier that your brake self-adjusts when you go backwards. Obviously, it's not going to happen today, right? But usually, sometimes when you're playing with brakes, by the time you rotate it like 3-4 times, it ends up catching, right? Just because of how the thing self-adjusts. So I'm gonna, as I said, I have it at minimum. So I'm gonna move it from there. There you go. around it. I'm pushing up, you know, making that coin go upwards from our view. Check this out. I tightened it so much that the thing can't even move now. I just wanted to show you that. There's something like too much. So now I'm going back down. Alright? But you can still hear something. So I'm going to go down just a little further. Still hear it. I want it in such a way that there's no contact. That's a little better for me. And what happens? Oh, there you go. I thought it locked. Not bad. And what happens is that over time they wear each other, the shoes, the hat, the rotor, the hat, and the noise will stop as you drive. But when you start driving the first time, yeah, you might be tempted to go back to the shop and say, hey, this thing doesn't seem like it's any better. Okay. Less noise, notice that? There's a certain part that just has a little more noise, but that's fine by me. It's holding, so I can't complain about it. The best way to test to see how good the holding force is by actually putting the wheel on and tightening and testing. But as I said, it's fine by my standards. I can get it to hold within a few clicks, and again, it's going to self-adjust and eventually get to whatever tightness it wants. So right now, that being done, the next logical step will be installing that, right? Because that's what we removed right before this. So should be dry by now, but I'll just spray inside and see. Nice and clean. If you're thinking it's time to do something about the gloves, I agree. Since money doesn't grow on trees, we're not just gonna throw these in the trash. Get creative about the Okay, right. The left hand glove goes to the right hand. Outside dirty, inside clean. Same here. Cleaner. It's not, as I said, not exactly sanitary. So at this point, it's time to, things will get just a little messier. Might get a little messier. We got two types of lube. So I've already used the anti-seize for whatever I needed it for. I have actually three types of lube, brake lube. I've got synthetic brake and caliper grease. This one is the black gooey stuff. It looks like RTV. I use it for metal to metal contact. I bought it some time back and I'm doing my best to use it up. This one here, which looks like Vaseline. Sail Glide is a brand name. This is what I use for the guide pins. My preference, right? So there's that. And then there's this old tub I had of synthetic caliper grease. Call it Blue Magic. This one here, it's bluish goop, bluish Vaseline. And I bought a new one. I bought the new stuff because I thought this was almost depleted, but it's been going, so I still use it every once in a while. And this one I use it for kind of some metal to metal contact where sliding isn't all that crucial. So let's work on this. Okay, first thing I'd like to do is get the first thing, because I use over here, I'll be using the black stuff. It's really messy. What I want to do is actually get the pins first, get the pins lubed. And again, remember what side's up, what side's down. So I get my boot kit. I already said it's 161.75, right? And get the little guy, and then get the other two. So I want to explain how they go in. First thing, let me just handle a little guy before he gets misplaced. On this one, I do a dry insert. It's not going to fight you that much. It's, you know, either works or it doesn't. Oh, look at that. I got a cut. Alright, so with each, let's put one accordion down. Each accordion goes this way. As I said, this part, the one with the lip, goes inside here, gets hidden there. And this other one, since there's not too much it's working against, goes onto the guide pin. So then this one will go in this way, over here, right? And you'll see it slide and do all kinds of motion, so that's great. So what I like to do at this point, bring in the sill glide. Yeah, it's visible, right? First thing I do, and well, before it gets messy, let me show you what I'll be doing, is I'll be inserting this eventually, and the way I insert it is just squeeze and just force it down, or feed it down, or massage it down, whatever you want to call that motion. And then usually turn it around a little bit, and yeah, bingo, right? Then this one here, send it. It's kind of hard right now, but you already saw I could push it in, right? So let's take this out for now, and let me work on the top. Sill glide. I put it on the tip. Rub it at the hole. A little more. I know some people don't even bother with like the whole cleaning process, but as I said, if I'm involved with it, I'd like to do a perfect job, honestly. Not just because the car belongs to a family member, but just some air pockets I'm trying to push out right now. I guess Q-tip, toothpick, whatever you want might work just as well, but in this case, I use the same stick that's going to go in there, same rod that's going to go in there. See, it was much easier when lube was involved, right? Okay, so now it's pretty much ready to go, but what I do is this. Now lube the shank or the shaft. Different strategies for different vehicles, but usually the principle is just a little bit before putting it in there. That's a life lesson right there. Okay, so do this. See how much easier it goes in now? There you go, like that. So what I'm going to do, pull it out one more time. My accordion collapsed. Pop back out, and I'll get just a little more lube. And send it in. So this is going to be the final application. If the accordion will allow me to be great. Okay, now, since you saw how it collapsed the first time, I'm going to hold it over here so it doesn't move and just push. Hold it round. There you go. Perfect. And there you go. It moves when needed. Then, let me get this. Just wiping it so it's not too messy. And I'll do the same thing for the other side. Sometimes what I do is I get the pin and work it on the bottom, but here I'll just use the correct pin. Make sure before I mess with this one, make sure I don't screw it up. The one with the rubber collar goes to the bottom, right? pockets. Comes out so clean. That's good. I'll take that. And I guess I should mention the lube. If you don't have lube, you definitely don't need to buy lube by the tub like I do. But usually when you buy a brake kit, they will offer you like a little packet of brake grease or brake lube or some kind of lubricant. Usually if you buy 2 or 3 of those, it's pretty sufficient for all uses. As I said, I just happen to do so many different I do so many brake jobs that it makes sense for me to invest in these things in bulk. Alright, so there you go. I'll set this one down. Get its accordion. Oh, there you go. I told you that at some point they move easy. Okay, then 2 more. And again. So we're getting pretty close to the end. I lube the accordion. And again, squeeze over here so that when you push, it doesn't collapse. Perfect. It was collapsing because it's got a nice, perfect vacuum, and I like that. So, thankfully, again, by design, these ones don't jump out at you. When they jump out this much, you have too much air in the system, and this is going to cause like a seized caliper condition. So you want it to be freely moving. You don't want it stuck in any one position. This one wasn't as messy, so I don't think there's too much to clean up, but we'll still do it. Okay, so put the sill glide away. This is the clean stuff. Put that away. Okay, for the next trick, we'll invite, before even getting the grease, the messy grease, let me talk about these clips over here. As I said, when you open the package, you get 2 different kinds. You get like 2 full sets. There's these clips over here, then you have others that remain in here. So, for installation, what you're aiming for is this. This is what I was talking about. This stays on the outside, this way, sorry. And you just push in, right? It's gonna need a little bit of massaging in, but it's pretty much there, right? Okay, let me pull it out. So, if you happen to grab one of the other ones instead, one of these that are in here, you might realize that it doesn't work. When you do it this way, and you do your best to push them in, it can't even sit at all. It's just all wobbly. And this part right here, this gap here is narrower than this bracket over here. So actually, it's a matter of like what, millimeter difference, like 2 millimeters. And the reason is this one right here, this piece of paper actually tells you that this kit contains 2 sets, which is 4 each of caliper abutment clips. So you need to match the clip to the rotor gap, right? And you have a Camry one. I don't know if this is clear. You have a Camry one and a RAV4 one. The RAV4 one is 17 millimeters. The Camry one is 15 millimeters. Well, we have neither one of these vehicles, but ours is the small one. Ours is the Avalon. Because, and I've tested this, when you get these clips versus, so one of these and one of these, and you put them side by side over here, one of them is smaller, and you didn't know how significant 2 millimeters were, but yeah, you'll come back to bite you. So it's something to watch out for. Get the smaller ones. If you're doing an Avalon, get the smaller ones. I guess the process would work for a Camry, for a RAV4 as well. All right, so now that we've talked about that, let me now actually install it. What I usually do for this is get this goopy mess. As I said, it looks like our TV. And as I said, this is just what I prefer to use. It's a really, it's messy, but it's a really wonderful lubricant. It doesn't wash off with, rain, and I've actually driven in a flood and things like that. So I get just a little bit, just brush it on. As I said, when you buy your stuff from the store and they give you that little packet, that lube is good enough. I'm doing this because I know it's not a system that I look at every day, and I want to do it one time and do it right. I am not going to apply it on the top section first, because things get messy and I don't want to end up playing with that. That's all I'm doing, just pushing down. Okay, so that's nice and easy. Do the same thing over here. See, my gloves are already getting messy. As I said, this one here, you do this as far, as close to the end as possible. I think I might need to apply it like one more time. Yes, I will need to apply one more time. And maybe I should say that when you install it, this clip I was talking about, the one you need to watch out for, goes towards the outside. If you bought Caliper or whatever, pads that do not come with these clips, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's just that, just make sure you clean the ones you had on there and lube them properly, because these will slide much better being that they're new. Okay, now we're pretty much ready for pads. And as I said, the pads go, since I'm not, two reasons I'm not reusing the noise whatever wear indicator. One, I just don't want to mess with it. Two, these seem pretty, like, they were so low that I don't see the point in trying to mess with it. It depends. Sometimes if you don't use those, your setup ends up being so loose that you can hear your pads clicking. But for what I'm trying to do, these are they poking out more than? Yeah, just strong preference to not do it. Let me see. Maybe I can convince myself. Do I have pliers over here? Oh, there you go. Okay, so there's that. What that does in this case is just give it more friction. It's already butting out from here and here, but putting this will kind of prevent it from sliding back out. It's gonna work more like a wear indicator in this one. Look at that. But it's so low, right? It's like, yeah, why does it seem much better in this one? Is it just wear? Probably, right? Just the wear just kind of didn't make sense. So I could or could not. It just really, this is the one thing that I'll tell you that I leave it up to you if you decide to not use them. But the strategy is going to be this. This is the bracket, upside down, right side up. And these will be trying to jump off. What I do is this: push this in, just sideways, just the way I removed them, pretty much. And then once I'm in there, twist. That's my strategy with these. Or do it at the bottom, whichever side you want to do first. Just insert it, then twist it. As I said, just as a matter of principle, I'm going to go ahead and really thinking about this one. It doesn't look worn, but all I'm saying is that by the time you even get to your wear indicator, you're already making so much noise with your other systems. By the way, I wasn't able to. Wanted to show the inside of this rotor. I forgot to do that. Look at that. You see the groove that was eaten in there? Then that's without the pad getting to the wear indicator at all. So this is me. If I ever change my mind, I will come back and redo it. But no wear indicator for me. If it wants to come out, that is. Okay. Perfect. There it is. Okay, so being that that's been said, I'll hold it this way just because it's easier to work this way first. Remember that when you install it, your curves on the outside like this. So remember the nasty goop? Yeah, that's what I'm going to use. Preference, metal to metal sliding action. I think we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. As I said, it shouldn't take this long. It's just that when you're giving instruction, things happen. There it is. Much easier to do on the outside. Guess let me try to pay attention on this one. Do it this way so that you can see what's going on. Okay, there it is. So at this point, I mean, we're pretty much ready to keep moving. So let's do this. I installed it upside down, as I said, just for ease of working on the outside first. Remember these bolts, the bolt that goes this way, right? It's going to be on the other side. Should I try to get the... Yeah, let me do this. I'll try to get the camera. The intention is there. Change the angle. A little more. I've already spoken about what I'm trying to do, so Even if you can't fully see everything, just work with me. Am I missing something? For these things, I like to start with hand tightening. You do not want to cross thread anything this late in the game. I'm going to use my gear wrench. I'm not going to tighten that one first. I'd like to do the other side as well. Okay, remember, definitely needed the breaker bar for those bolts. So I'll do the same thing on the way in, this breaker bar. And I apologize because I do not have the torque specs, but as I said, I'm not like standing on the breaker bar or anything. I'm just doing it till I can feel like, yep, that's right around where it was. And maybe that's the only one thing it'd say, don't follow exactly what I said there. Just get the right torque specs and do it. I haven't had too many things come loose in my life, but yes, I've had a few. And sometimes it's due to damage, not really due to torque or lack of torque specs. Alright, so I think we're getting to the home run. There's one thing I wanted to mention, so let me grab this. Alright, so at this point, we've applied all the lubes that I brought out. There's only one that I still need to do. Let me put this away. This one's pretty much done. Remember the Blue Magic? Yeah, so Blue Magic, this is where I use it. I use it for the piston and the caliper. Whatever comes into contact with the pad on the outside, that's what I use this one for. So apply it liberally on the shim. I should have done this on the outside, before mounting it, but I guess that's the beauty of editing video. I could have done that and just shown that, hey, I don't make mistakes. I have it exactly in the order I wanted. But I know it's gonna work. Alright, so that's done. And I usually do like an extra step, and this is the stuff that's gonna run off and melt, and you'll smell this the first time you drive. I do the same thing on the caliper itself. So some on the piston. Again, this lube is okay, so I'm going to use that on. It's good. It's okay with the rubber as well, so it's compatible with the rubber. so I'm not too worried about it. But believe it or not, even the black stuff is the RTV, as I call it, is compatible with the rubber too. So what do you know? It's just that it's so messy. Okay, so I'm gonna get the other bolts. Well, you won't believe this, but I misplaced one of them. Okay. Here it's gonna be pretty easy. Just might need to squeeze this just a little bit so you can get this over. And since I already returned the piston in, I know that it will fit over. Should. Uh-oh, there you go. It works. Top first. So this one here is also a 14 millimeter. If it started moving, you could hold it down. But usually, just because of the friction caused here, it's gonna pretty much hold itself. So down here, I'm gonna push it in so it can swing over. All right. And now I need to find it. I don't know, I'm not saying no or never, but I'll definitely put way more consideration into the live video before I do this again. Because it's got a lot of filler stuff, you know? You don't need to see me looking for my tools and stuff like that, but there you go, found it. Or rather, you don't need to spend time, you know, video time, just because I'm looking for tools for a few minutes here and there. But on the other hand, to enable me to be more effective at releasing these videos, I need to record them like release ready, right? So that, and this one doesn't need to be too tight, I know that for sure. Don't want to shear these, so it'll ruin your day. I need to record more videos that are release ready so that I don't have to spend too much time editing them. You know, things that are ready to go. So this is something new for my channel for sure. Something new I'm trying, but I think it's a good start. So this is the one I was saying. It's 14. Nope, not 14. It's 15. It is 14. It's just the flange is so short compared to this that it won't go over. So, but we're pretty much done here. So I need to put it away, put things away. So let's bring things over. Whoa. It's live videos for you guys. Okay, so we are pretty much done here. And now it's time to put things away. I mean, it's just the best way to explain it. It's simple. So before, I think I'm pretty much ready for for the wheel. But before doing that, I'm going to clean the floor area. And not only that, I need to make sure I don't forget this. You guys remember this? This little bung This is the one that goes over there, over on the rotor. And what I'm gonna do is get just a little bit of lube on it. Again, lube makes things go much easier. Since it's like the last thing I'm doing, I don't mind getting a little messy. Just a little bit though. And push. There you go. So we are done. As I said, the process might seem like it's very long. It really isn't. If you follow this video and get everything that I called out and have everything handy, you'll save a little bit of time. And two, if you do not do it like you're doing it for video, for instruction, if you just keep powering through the work, that will save you a whole lot of time. But I'll check out the video, see how long the video ended up being, and my goal is to upload it exactly like it came. I intend to do very little editing, if anything at all. So we'll see. Maybe the process will work, maybe not. If you're watching a video on doing brakes, I'm guessing you're a novice of some sort. So obviously more experienced people will do it faster. If you've got a faster way, go for it. But this video is supposed to help those people that have no other instruction. It might be really, really detailed, way too detailed than it needs to be, but I like showing that kind of work, showing you what the work is going to be, what the tools are, and I like to show you what problems you might run into. For example, the whole trying to remove the rotor with a hammer. Obviously, you saw how that worked, right? With a mallet, you saw how that worked, right? So I like showing things like that. So in case you're working and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, what can I do to make this come out, right? And I'm sorry I wasn't able to show this in too much detail, but adjusting that screw over there, you'll see it, you'll know it. It's usually at the bottom, and as I said, I think bottom loose, up tight, right? Oh, that actually sounds good. Bottom loose, up tight, up tight. All right, so let's clean up and call this a day. The reason I'm even bothered doing this is it's getting to, I guess it's still fall, but it's getting cold and stuff, so it's gonna be a while before I clean up this garage. I've got some big projects coming up, so if I leave this rust on the floor and have all these wheels and tires running through, the floor is gonna get real messy. So doing my best to clean it up right now, just kind of stay on top of it. I'll put all the tools away later, but for now, what I'm gonna do is, let's put the wheel back on. It does sit kind of funny. It's a pretty loose fit. There you go. If you don't pay attention, it might trip you out a little bit. Again, mag side lug nuts, so it kind of wobbles in the hole. It doesn't push it all the way as you go. Just like my loosening process, I do the skip one on the way in. And I usually do everything in my ability to, everything in my power to make sure that I start by hand initially. Again, the reason is I don't want to cross thread anything. Especially not this late in the game, right? As you can see, it gets wobbly the more you tighten or the less you tighten, however you want to look at that. And that's why this one's really important to do the skip one. unlike like Nissan wheels, or rather Nissan's older wheels, the ones that had the acorn style lug nuts. Usually, you know, you hold one down and it brings the whole wheel towards the hub. Haven't really shown this, but as part of what was going on there was I dusted the wheel off, the backside of the wheel, just a little bit. But since there wasn't much corrosion to start with, it's all good. Okay, so this right here, it's not too strenuous, but again, this is why we have tools. Save yourself the time, effort, just the whole repetitive action. I'm not too concerned with like over torquing or anything. I've mentioned before that this tool right here, Ingersoll Rand W5300 series, it's not that strong that it's gonna end up like an air impact, you know, causing too much trouble. It's definitely not that caliber tool. I just use it to save myself from the repetitive action, and when it comes to torque and tightening, I just go for something else. And this needs to be like part of a different discussion, but so well, I do like hand tighten up here just enough to get it moving, or to stop it from moving, however you look at it. Okay, so once I have that, take this off, lower the vehicle. And then over here, I can't remember the torque value, value that you're supposed to tighten it to. So what I usually do is just assume that this is going to be, aim to the best of your ability what a lug wrench length is going to be, so somewhere around here, and I use a pull motion for tightening. That's it. So the danger of pushing down is that if you're a really big person, you have way more weight, and again, you don't want to overdo it, and especially you don't want to hold at the end or like a cheater bar and tighten your wheels like that. You use a cheater bar to loosen the lug nuts, but not to tighten them, because that's when accidents happen. You know, that's when things happen. So I feel like this is good. I didn't test it. I guess I could jack it back up, but I feel like as I was turning it, I did not hear the scratching noise that was going on. So I'd say for that reason, we should be pretty good. I think done deal. We've done whatever we needed to do with the rear brakes of the Toyota Avalon. All right, good luck everybody.